of all the topics that we could potentially discuss as runners, running form is arguably one of the sexiest topics out there. And that's because I think all of us want really great running form, and it's very visual, right? We all love that image of a runner gliding down the track, looking effortless. They're just so smooth and graceful as they power towards the finish line. And I think all runners want that feeling, the feeling of being powerful, and also the feeling of just being graceful, of being able to get to the finish line and look good doing it. And it's not just how we look, this is also reflective of our running economy or our efficiency. So there's a lot to like about having really good running form, but I think a lot of the conversation about running form gets really lost in the weeds for most runners. And so what I want to do in this video is talk about the two most effective ways at improving your running form so that you can continue to develop a really good, efficient stride for you in a way that's sustainable and in a way that's effective. Now, the first aspect of good form that we have to consider is the fact that it's built through our training. If you want good running form, you've got to have the training that builds good running form. So let's talk about all the different things that we can do in our training that contribute to how we run. So number one, long runs. I'm a big believer in a weekly long run for a whole host of reasons. One of those reasons is the fact that doing a regular long run is really effective at helping us improve our running form, for the simple reason that we are going to be running when we're tired. We're going to be running when we have exhausted a majority of our slow twitch muscle fibers, and that forces our fast twitch muscle fibers to get more engaged and pick up some of the slack. So as you continue to run longer every week or two, as you continue to build the distance of your long run, you are going to be getting better and better at recruiting more muscle fibers to get the job done. You're going to be more coordinated and a lot more economical. Now, we can also build good running form by running high mileage. Now, high mileage is relative to what you're comfortable doing, so don't think you have to go out there and run 100, 150 miles a week or something crazy. But if we are gradually trying to run more over time, then we are gradually going to be improving our running form. Because when you run high mileage, we're doing two things. One, just like with long runs, we are occasionally going to be running on very tired legs. And when you run on tired legs, you're forced to become more economical. The other thing that high mileage runners have to do is they have to run very frequently. So you are very frequently practicing your running form. And just like any other skill that we're trying to build, frequency of our practice is very important. Now, we also want to be regularly running harder workouts and doing strides for a couple different reasons. Number one, when we run hard workouts, and similarly when we run races, we are running while under duress. And that is actually a really effective way at forcing us to maintain our running form while we're experiencing really high levels of fatigue. So this is another indirect way of improving our running form. Let's run hard regularly. And the thing about strides and other speed development type work is that we are practicing running really fast without the running being very hard. And so that is an interesting distinction because we get to practice running fast while fresh. So it's this great combination of trying to run fast while under high degrees of physical stress and trying to run fast when we're stressed, when we're not stressed, and when we're fresh and really can just focus on good, proper technique. Finally, we definitely want to be getting into the weight room to do some regular weightlifting. Weightlifting is often described as coordination training under resistance, and it's an excellent way of practicing good movement technique under resistance. And for runners, that's going to also enable us to recruit more muscle fibers. It's going to enable us to develop higher levels of coordination, and that is a really effective way at building good form. So those are all the different training related ways that we can build good form into our training so that we can be improving it while just doing the normal training that we're going to be doing anyway. Hey, hi. Hey, what's up? Hi. If you can't tell, I have come to love the Melon hat brand. Have you heard of Melon before? Melon hats are amazing. I have been ogling over Melon hats on Instagram for a very long time now, so I am incredibly thrilled to announce that I have partnered with Melon, and this video is sponsored by Melon hats. The other thing that you'll notice is that these hats are incredibly detailed. The attention to detail that Melon puts in their hats is unparalleled. And I love the amazing colors they have, not just on the outside of the hat, but also on the inside of the hat. There's holes where you can store a key or a credit card, and there's extra padding on the inside to maintain the shape of the hat. Absolutely love this piece of art that Melon calls a hat. I hope you enjoy it too. Melon hats are some of the most durable, water resistant, and stylish hats that I've ever come across. And yes, they're a little expensive, but you get what you pay for. I have had so many cheap hats over the years that have simply fallen apart, that have lasted me a season. And what I really love about these is that they use premium materials, the stitching is absolutely amazing, and the styles are just incredible. This is like the last hat that you'll ever own, and I'm thrilled that now you can go to melon.com/strengthrunning and get your own hat, get 20% off your order with code STRENGTHRUNNING. Again, that's melon.com/strengthrunning, no space. And if you use code STRENGTHRUNNING, again, no space, you will save 20% on your first order. Thank you, Melon, for sponsoring this video, and thank you for making such attractive hats. So now that we've talked about all the different ways that our training can contribute to improving our running form, let's talk about some more direct ways that you can improve your form. Now, I'm not really too much of a fan of having runners consciously try to change their form when they're out there running. It's too cognitively demanding, and the fact that your running form is a complex movement that is a full body movement. If you try to make a complex physical movement like your running stride something that you overthink, you're likely going to become even less economical than you already are. So it's not something that we should really try to consciously improve too much. Now, the one caveat there is there are some really effective ways at doing this that don't require you to think too much, because you're not actually out there thinking, okay, my knee needs to come about parallel to the ground and then my trail leg has to come out behind me, and that is going to definitely leave you in a position where you're not being as efficient as possible because you're overthinking things and you're probably not going to be moving in the way that you think you're moving. But we can use form cues to really drive home some of these principles, and it's a lot easier than overthinking your form because these cues don't tell you specifically how to move. They just give you different perspectives on how to think about your form. One of my favorite form cues that I've learned recently, actually from a podcast guest in episode 262, Matt Menard, he has this cue of push with the tush. And this is a helpful way of engaging the glutes when you're out there running. And when you think of the fact that the glute complex is some of the biggest muscles in the human body, we really need to have a glute-centric type of form. We really do need to push with the tush, engage our glutes more often, because if we're powering our stride from the top of that kinetic chain, if we are engaging those large muscles instead of relying on smaller stabilizing muscles, we're going to have a more powerful stride as well as a much more economical stride. Now, there's another cue that I love that is particularly helpful for any runner who might suffer from a crossover gait where one leg crosses over the other leg and you kind of run in this wobbly fashion. I have a little bit of a crossover gait myself, and especially for those with IT band syndrome. I also have a history with IT band syndrome. This cue is to imagine that you're running with a golf ball between your knees. And what this does is it subtly widens your stance. Typically, for most runners, this is going to make you more economical and it's going to reduce your injury risk. So this is a really helpful cue because It accomplishes those two very important things, while also not being too overly prescriptive with detail. You are not ensuring that you have 1.2 inches between your knees or anything that detailed. It's just a conscious attempt to try to run with a slightly more wider stance. And if you could do that, you're going to reduce your crossover gait and you're going to reduce your incidence of ITBS. So it's a great cue for runners as they're working on their form and also trying to reduce their likelihood of injury. So runners, as you are working on your running form, let's try not to overcomplicate things. Let's remember that we can improve our form mostly through our training, but we can also use some really great cues to help make it all possible. If you want my list of some of the more effective running cues that distance runners can use, go to strengthrunning.com/cues. You can sign up for a cheat sheet of some of my favorite cues that you can use to improve your form and run a little bit more economically.